Hello, my name is Gratma Singh. I'm the founder of GTM Academy, and today I'm going to be talking about churn. Now, I run an academy of over 35 entrepreneurs, and alongside that, we also have a coaching service. And in that coaching service, over the last 3 months, we've only had one client churn. We've had 5 clients upgrade their subscription in that same 3-month period, which to me makes me someone that feels pretty comfortable speaking about churn. Alongside that, I also spend a lot of time working with clients on how they can reduce churn. So today I'm going to be talking about a few kind of steps that really help me to understand churn and also can change the way that you think about churn and ultimately reduce it so that you can make more money. Now, I've actually got a client that is going really heavy, like really strong on how he can reduce churn. And one of the first things that I identified was that, look, when we're looking at churn, the first thing that you've got to actually ask yourself before you look at, any experience or any errors or any problems that the client might have faced is, how do you know that these are actually the right people that are hopping onto your service? How do you know that you're attracting the right leads into your business? Because you can be sitting there solving for churn, trying to create a phenomenal experience when ultimately it's just the clients that you're bringing in are just the complete wrong audience, okay? So that was the first light bulb moment for me of, if you want to reduce churn, make sure firstly you're attracting the right customers. If you're attracting a bunch of broke students and trying to get them on to a service that costs them £100 a month and they're like, I don't know if I can pay that. Mate, your churn is always going to be high because you're not bringing in the people that can actually afford your service. So the first thing for me was that, okay, how do you know that the people that you're attracting and are buying your service are actually qualified leads, okay? How do you know not qualified leads, but qualified customers, okay? What assessment, what tests, what forms are they filling in when they first come into the business to help you understand whether or not they should actually be a customer of yours? Because if you keep on attracting the wrong people, they're going to churn. You're going to think you're doing a crap job. You're going to think your product's rubbish, but really it's a marketing problem, okay? And that, to me, it's a game changer, right? So firstly, if you're sitting there and you're thinking, I don't know what to do, put a form in place. Ask them, right, when they sign up to your service, or maybe if you have a call with them, ask them a few questions. What do you do? What's your income? What are your goals? What are you looking to get out of the service? Then you can assess, is this actually an ideal customer for us? If not, and their goals are actually not aligned with what your service provides, then of course they're going to churn, okay? So that's the first thing, right? Then one of the most important turning points of whether or not someone is going to churn is the first 24 to 48 hours of them hopping onto your service for them purchasing, right? Now, during this time, what I would say is, if you're looking at that onboarding period, you basically want to build out something called a buy-in journey. So we've actually done a video on a buy-in journey before. It's basically the same thing, but more specifically for onboarding. So in the onboarding journey, when someone actually joins, do you really clearly outline what the next steps are going to be for them? Do you help them to get some quick wins under their belt as soon as they join? Do you make sure that they've got enough for them to get started and get moving when they join? Do you provide them with the right guidance? Is there an email sequence that you can send out? Is there a confirmation that they're actually on? Is there something that makes them feel good? Maybe send them a gift or whatever. I don't know. It's going to be different for every service. But that onboarding experience, does someone feel like, okay, they know exactly why they're here? They're more excited now once they've purchased than they were before they purchased. Okay? After they purchase, they should feel like, okay, now I'm really getting into it. Now I'm excited to get started. Before they purchase, there's a little bit of worry, there's a little bit of anxiety. They feel good about it, but they don't know for certain. Once they purchase, all of that doubt should be eliminated, and they should feel much more confident that you're on the right path to give them exactly what they need. Okay? So that's the onboarding journey. What does that look like? How does the customer feel at that point? How do you make sure that they're excited about what you're delivering? Okay? Then, as you go into the journey, as you start to deliver, whatever your service might be, I'm thinking about coaching because obviously that's what we do. But from a coaching point of view, how regularly do you check in with your customers? How do you know if they have a problem? The client that I'm working with quite closely on Churn, he's got a SaaS business. So anytime there's an error or anytime there's a complaint, a ticket is raised and then you'll get a notification and then you'll find out from there. But for you in your business, one thing that we've implemented is a monthly check-in form for our clients. How do you make sure that you actually know what your customers are thinking and feeling? And one thing that I was discussing with a few entrepreneurs on Thursday was that a lot of the time your customers will lie to you. They want to be nice. They don't want to say that you suck. They don't want to say that your product and service is crap. So what they'll do instead is they'll say, hey, I'm liking the service so far. It's all right. Like maybe they'll rate it like a 7 out of 10, right? But realistically, internally, they're like, it's like a 4, okay? People are going to be nicer than you probably want them to be. So what you need to do is ask them like negatively framed questions of like, what's one thing about the service that you'd like us to improve, okay? So it gives them a really specific opportunity to say, this is the one thing, or select the following. Like maybe if you offer like 5 different things in your service, you could say, select 1 or 2 of the following that you don't get much use out of. And like for us, we've got like a SaaS thing that we have in our service, and we have like a community. So maybe they might select them too and say, I really like the coaching sessions, I really like the accountability check-ins, but I don't like the SaaS product and I don't like the community side of things. Great, at least we know what they do and don't like, okay? Like you have to draw these answers out of them, and you've got to read between the lines sometimes and not just expect them to bluntly tell you everything that they don't like about your service, okay? So have something in place that allows them to check in with you and tell you how they feel about what you offer, okay? So we've covered 3 things so far. You've got qualifying the right leads, doing an onboarding journey, and ongoing support, okay? The next phase of churn is one of the most important things that I think most people don't, like they don't pay any attention to, they don't look at, but it's something that every business owner should understand. And that is, you have trigger points for churn, okay? Something happens along someone's journey that makes them feel like they don't want to be part of your service. Now that might be completely legit, right? They might go out of business and they're like, okay, I don't want to do this anymore, or they might find something else, like, or they might not have felt like they've got a good experience. Whatever it is, there's trigger points that you can test and check for that will allow you to understand if someone is likely to churn or not, okay? Now, this typically, the way that you can do this is by collecting as much data as possible on your customers, okay? And this doesn't need to be something that they do. So one of the things that I see a lot of business owners get wrong is that they're like, oh, we need more data on our customers. So then they'll ask them loads and loads and loads of things, and they'll basically try and get all the data from them. You don't need to get all the data from them. You can figure out a lot of the data sometimes. Okay, for example, if it's coaching, how many times are they attending the sessions? How many times are they rescheduling? Like, how many times are they completing the accountability of what they said that they were going to do last week? You can get the data on your end and figure out, okay, what's going on with people. Then you find out the people that do churn, you look back at the data for them. So like maybe someone who churns missed 2 or 3 of their sessions beforehand, and they're like, oh, you know, I've just got a lot going on, so I'm gonna stop, right? That means if someone misses 2 sessions, you know that there's a chance that they're getting very close to churning. You can then give them a call and say, hey, by the way, look, I know there's been a couple of hectic weeks. I wanted to check in with you, see how you're doing. I want to know we're still here to support you. I'd love to get something scheduled in. I know you've got a lot on. What's a time that you're confident you'll be able to make? You know what I mean? Like, you can do something about it when you actually understand the data. But until you understand the data, it's very hard for you to be able to counter churn for any of your customers. Yeah, some customers might get to a point where, like for us, we've just introduced this new thing because we could feel it with a couple customers that, like, you know, they're not getting as much as they could get. So we're like, okay, what we need to do is build out a roadmap, a 3-month roadmap, 6-month roadmap, whatever it is. So they know, okay, we're on this journey of going through this process together. Like, it's the simplest things, but you don't know it until you start collecting data. Someone might be more likely to churn at the end of a 6 month because they didn't have a good experience. If we know that, that means a month 4, month 5, we can start ramping up our coaching. We can start ramping up the resources that we can send. We start prepping them for their next roadmap, their next 6 months, whatever it is, so that when it comes to that, and when it comes to the end of that first 6 month roadmap, they can be like, okay, I know what's next. I'm happy. I'm excited. Let's go again. Yeah. Churn is really, really difficult to predict, which is why, well, for a lot of businesses, it can be quite difficult to predict. Which is why if you get more and more data, it becomes easier. It makes the journey so much like easier on you, and it also means that you stop taking everything so personally. Okay, when your clients are churning as a business owner, if you don't have that many clients, it often feels like I'm doing something wrong. I'm at fault here. I should do this. I should do that. If you can take a step back and just look at the data, you then know, okay, it's not me. It's because this thing happened and this thing happened. you're responsible for fixing it, don't get me wrong, but you actually know like what the root cause is, and you stop blaming yourself for everything. Yeah. Now, these are the like 4 things within Churn that I think are really important to get right. Like, it's the getting the right leads in, giving them a great onboarding experience, checking in with them as they go through the process, and checking for any churn trigger points. Yeah, those churn trigger points, by the way, could be like one day into your journey. Yeah, you send them an onboarding call and then they don't actually accept the invite. You know what I mean? Like, who knows what your trigger points are going to be? But you need to sit down and figure out what are the core trigger points, what can be done about each of them, what do our customers think about them, and that's another thing as well. Like, as you're going through all these different phases, actually try and speak to your customers as much as possible. Just have a good feedback loop. I would recommend that every business owner, whenever you have customers, you want 2 to 5 customers that you can regularly go and speak to that will help you to make better decisions. Yeah. So I've got a couple coaching clients that I can go to and I can say, hey, look, we're looking to beta test this. Does this sound like something you'd be interested in? And they'll just tell me straight, yeah, that sounds good. No, I don't like that. Yeah, which means that I know whether or not I should probably roll it out to the other coaching clients that I have too. So it's like the simple things, like get those 4 different things right, constantly have a feedback loop with your current customers, and that will help you massively to reduce churn. And I can guarantee there's something in this video that you're probably not doing, right? There's something in this video that you need to go back and look at and be like, okay, yeah, we are collecting data, but we're not collecting enough data. We are collecting loads of data, but we're not actually sitting down and analyzing the data. There's things that you can do based off this video that are going to help you to reduce churn. Yeah. So hopefully this is helpful. The last piece of advice I'm going to give you is, if you have ideas of what could reduce churn, come up with a hypothesis, come up with a plan. One thing to keep in mind is that churn is a lagging indicator. Okay. If you solve a churn problem, you're not going to know tomorrow. You're going to know in 3 months' time, 6 months' time. Okay. And it's hard sometimes because it's the last thing that you should really optimize for, because you actually don't know whether or not you're fixing the problem. Yeah. So when it comes to getting on clients and you're trying to reduce churn, don't get caught up because churn hasn't changed in 2 months after you've done 100 things to try and reduce churn, because sometimes it's going to take a little bit longer. So my last kind of piece of advice on that is just be a bit patient with it. Yeah. Allow time to tell you whether or not your churn has changed. Don't just think it's going to immediately change like that. There will be other indicators like customer satisfaction, attendance, check-in, like whatever it is. That'll help you to understand whether or not someone's going to churn. But ultimately, churn is a lagging indicator. So give yourself time to see if things have actually changed. I hope this has been useful for you guys. If you did find it useful, then definitely go check out the other videos here or a couple other things that I think you'd find useful. And I will catch you guys on the next episode of the IWIN series.